Hello, my fellow seekers. Welcome to Into the Work, therapy for empaths, seekers, and the intuitively driven, where you have front row seats to therapy sessions and expert interviews that will help you define the important work that you're here to do. So I guess you actually have something better than front row seats. You practically have a seat on my couch. That's right, you will have unrestricted access to actual sessions with real people, exploring real life issues. You will continue to be inspired by powerful conversations with experts and healers that might just share exactly what it is that you need to hear to get unstuck. I am Michelle Pauverman. I am a recovering people pleaser and former anxiety-driven empath, turned now mostly grounded psychotherapist and intuitive coach. I have been helping people for almost 20 years manage their limiting beliefs and anxiety to finally stop the self-sabotage and step into their gifts. I created this podcast, Into the Work, to give you a place to learn more about yourself and give you actionable strategies to finally move those roadblocks holding you back so you can go for what you want. Above all else, my hope is that this podcast is a catalyst for your awakening. If you're listening, you've already taken a step towards getting off of autopilot, and our next steps together will be taken episode by episode, waking you up to the possibilities, the new ways of thinking and being, so that you can stretch into that next level of your story. The spark has already been lit, and my friend, this is a journey from spark to brilliance. So together, let's light a fire. Hello, and welcome back to the show, my fellow seekers. I hope you are all well. As we're diving in today, if you're not well, maybe you'll find some answers in this. Today, we are going to explore your chakras. By the end of this episode, you're going to understand how the chakras hold the story of your life, as well as how you are currently feeling. For examples, how you might be feeling stuck right now, what aspects of your physical health are being affected. So you can understand, hey, what is that persistent shoulder pain or that weird hip thing that's going on that's been chronic? We are able to understand the energetic and emotional connection to your physical health. And one of the ways we can do that is by way of your chakra story. In other words, what is going on in your life currently, coupled with what has impacted you historically, that is triggering particular emotional wounds held in a specific chakra and causing an issue in that area. It's all going to make a lot more sense as I keep going. So stay with me. Trust that this will all break down with ease. So let's get started. I'm going to keep this really simple. Some of you may have zero experience with understanding your chakras, and some listening may have extensive experience working with them. This is food for all of us. And I do believe that all learning is remembering on some level. So we are all bound to have some aha moments here. So I will keep it relatively simple, but there's still going to be lots of really good nuggets in here for all of you. I just want to highlight as we begin that you have two energy systems that are studied and utilized most commonly in the healing world, and that is the meridians and the chakras. The meridians are utilized in Chinese medicine, so if you have ever experienced the power of acupuncture, then you experienced working with the meridians. The chakras are used in multiple healing modalities. The most common is Reiki. Now, the word chakra is a Sanskrit word that means wheel. And you can go on and Google the history of the chakra. It's rich. It's so interesting. You can learn so much. Today, we are just going to be focusing on the task at hand. So chakras are literally spinning wheels or discs of light in your body. Many of us see them as vortexes. And there are 7 major chakras that we're going to focus on today. There are many smaller chakras all over the body, but today we're focusing on the 7 major chakras. And again, we'll dive into how these energy centers hold the emotional, spiritual, and frankly, psychic information that impacts you physically. So what do I mean by that? The chakras hold consciousness. The chakras hold conscious energy. When you wonder, where does my unconscious live, right? You have the conscious, I'm present, I'm thinking, and then you have programming that's running in the background that we call the unconscious. A lot of times we have no idea where does that mysteriously reside, right? And I believe this consciousness and the unconscious layer of that is within the layers of our energy field and within the energy systems that run through our body. So your chakras literally hold stories, beliefs, experiences, and emotions that sort of run in the background of the operation of you being a human being here. So to be clear, as an energy body, you're made up of thousands of lines of energy everywhere in your body. The major chakras are the centers where these energy lines converge, expressing the most powerful collection of light, energy, and consciousness in these centers. It's really quite miraculous. So the chakras also run along the endocrine system, which is your hormonal system, and the nervous system. So that includes your brain and spinal cord. These chakras also support the organs around them. The vibration and the energy that the chakras hold support all the functions of from your heart pumping to blood moving to muscles being fed. Everything that's happening in your body is supported by the chakras. Now, this is how I actually like to explain energy healing to people. And I'm going to do that here today, I think, because it really helps to understand this process from this perspective. I think it's going to help you understand what we're talking about here today and the way the chakras work. And so when people say to me, Michelle, what is Reiki and what do you do? And I do other forms of energy healing outside of Reiki, but it's just the one people most commonly question. So I start by leaving out the spiritual component. I do, just because I want to keep it really grounded for people. And so I usually use the term, instead of energy, I kind of switch it on and off with bioelectricity because I think people really understand electricity so they can conceptualize energy. And it is called bioelectricity as well in our body. So, and I probably throw in there that the fact that at the center of every cell in your body is bioelectricity. In fact, when we look at matter under a microscope, we can see the breakdown from tissue to cell to nucleus to energy at the center of every cell, every nucleus is energy, bioelectricity, moving at the speed of light, which is fast. And if you're ever interested in learning more about quantum physics, that's where your go-to. It's really fascinating. But to stay on task for today, I usually tell people each one of your organs, imagine this, each one of your organs has a vibrational charge. And we can measure that charge now. I tell people that each one of your organs has a vibrational charge that is measured now by gigahertz. So we can actually measure the charge of the energy running in your body. Actually, your entire body is running off of an energetic charge. So let's say, and this is what I tell people, let's say you have an illness that's developed in an organ or an area of the body. We can measure that area and see that it has a lower vibrational charge now. So a healer is trained to harness energy, use energy and light, and be a vessel for this energy to raise up the vibrational charge of the body. And we even have research now that shows that trained Reiki practitioners who go in versus untrained have a higher measured oscillation of energy between their hands and the body than non-trained people. So we know we can measure the amount of energy that's moving between the hands of someone who's trained and is not. And so I think that just helps people understand that you're kind of going in and you're charging your body and you're bringing in, you're helping harness more energy. And that's what healers are trained to do. And to be utilizing this to raise up the charge. So if you have a kidney malfunction, you have a lower vibration. If you have a cancer or other disease in the body, the energy and vibration held in that area is lower. And as a Reiki practitioner, as an energy healer, we are working to raise the vibration and heighten the energy, as well as work with the chakras and heighten the energy of the chakras. Now, it's a way of demystifying it so that people are new, can conceptualize it, but there definitely is a more holistic and spiritual component to the chakras, to working with the chakras, and even working with the meridians. And so it's very powerful. And of course, it's more complicated to explain once you get into the more holistic spiritual components because, well, most things magical are difficult to rationalize, right? So today we are going to talk about how the physical issues showing up in your body might be indicating your own chakra story. Again, if you are able to identify the emotional, spiritual needs that are expressed in the chakra, you may be able to support the body in healing quicker. And of course, I have to put in a disclaimer, of course, right? Like not every body is able to heal immediately. In fact, everybody has their own spiritual assignment, some of which may be open to healing at this moment as part of a greater plan. Others are not meant to heal. And perhaps there are still lessons and experiences to be had and people to meet. So from our pea-sized little perspective, we can't possibly understand the vastness of what makes us all here work, right? So we don't really understand on the vast level. But when I talk to people about healing, I like to just say, it's all based on your own plan, your own spiritual purpose and all the things that are going on for you. So if you are experiencing an issue in the area which is governed by the first chakra, here are some things for you to pay attention to. Okay, so the first chakra is otherwise known as the root chakra. And these areas that you're going to be paying attention to are the feet, legs, any spinal issues, your bones. You're going to be looking at rectum, adrenal glands, which are also the third chakra, which I know is a little confusing, but there are a couple of things that get kind of double hit with two different chakras. And the adrenal glands is one of them. So you're also looking at cortisol issues. We're also looking at the skin. If you have eczema and things like that, the organ of the skin is also covered by the first chakra. And your immune system as well. So anybody who has autoimmune issues, we're looking at first chakra issues. And then we're also looking at the specific area which that might be showing up. So if you're having an issue in any of those areas I just mentioned, it's possible that you are really getting tripped up by fear. Fear tends to be the go-to emotion that we like to use block the chakra. It doesn't mean the chakra is shut down. It just means that it is not working at its heightened ability. So here is the flavor of fear that's most notable or common when it comes to the first chakra. And I want you to think about this as I say these things. I want you to think about your own story historically and which one of these feels like a zinger for you. So issues related to feeling safe, belonging. Do you belong easily? Stability, especially financial stability, and trust. This chakra is really tied to our material needs being met. So obviously food, water, shelter, but like, what was that like growing up? Historically, what kind of messages you get around those needs being met? Did everybody have to work really hard to make sure that happened? What were the messages around this? What were your beliefs about yourself in these issues that you formulated as a kid growing up? And now what might be getting triggered? So that's for the belonging, the stability, the trust, safety. I want to not leave out our right to be here, our right to have our needs met, our right to be in a healthy relationship. That's the trust part too, our ability to trust that we are enough. We are meant to be here. We have a right to be here. We have a right to take up space. We have a right to be in healthy relationships. Consider, what is your story here? What experiences, what beliefs and emotions did you have growing up that might be getting triggered in your life right now? What might be going on in your life now that might be kind of tapping into some of this old wound? And that might be contributing to your physical issue that you're experiencing. And then the goal is addressing those issues, right? Addressing the underlying beliefs, the emotions, and all those things to sort of start to shift and heal. The second chakra, otherwise known as the sacral chakra, that is your emotional self, how well you your emotional needs are being met, how comfortable you are at your emotional needs being met. This area, the second chakra, you might be having issues if this is a place where you're energetically, you are receiving more blocks here. Maybe you have some of these issues, and we'll talk about the flavor of the emotions that block that. And so to start, we have lower back pain. Do you struggle with lower back issues? How about menstrual issues? And women's reproductive organs, infertility, endometriosis, pelvic inflammatory, ovarian cysts. In men would be their prostate problems, bladder, urinary problems, sexual dysfunction. And this is an area, the second chakra, which I've always found fascinating because this is something I've dealt with, is Lyme disease. But Lyme disease, parasites, fibromyalgia, when you see these things in a chronic nature, we really look at them in terms of a second chakra issue. So if you are having issues related to the second chakra, it's time to look at guilt. This just so happens to be this is like the predominant emotion that can really affect this chakra. It's a way we block out getting our needs met and being in flow. And it may seem like other emotions too. It's not that we don't disregard that. It's just that guilt tends to be an important one to look out for. And how it is blocking your right to pleasure and play in your life. Are you all business, right? Has life taken you just to a place where you're just not having fun anymore? You just yearn to feel free, to feel like you're breaking out of the chains that are holding you back, metaphorically. And looking at how it is impacted by your beliefs and experiences with emotions and sensuality and sexuality. How you can flow with these things in your life. How open are you? How even energetically open are you to having pleasurable experiences in your life? Do you experience a full range of emotions, or do you have like one or two on repeat? That's a big one. I look at how people experience emotions, process emotions, how they're showing up in relationships. What's vulnerability like for you? So you're looking at this again in perspective of your whole life, right? This is the story. There's a story here for you within this chakra. And there may be something happening, or has been something happening. And this one's, all the lower chakras are the harder chakras, so the trickier ones, they're the darker ones, the most difficult ones to spend a lot of time in, but it's really valuable to do so, to really get down to understanding yourself in this area. And if you have issues here, physical issues here, you really want to take a look at how you're managing your emotions, how much play you have in your life, how creative are you allowed to be, how much space is there for you to enjoy life, to experience it from a place of feeling like it's amazing and beautiful and pleasurable, and how open are you to those things, and what changes have happened in your life recently that might be shifting and changing it and having you live in a place that's causing you some problems physically. So the next one is the third chakra, otherwise known as the solar plexus. And this is your personal power and self-esteem center. Okay. This is your ability to act on and create what you want. This area in the solar plexus, I always say it's the center above your stomach and the center between your rib cage. This area is your digestive system. So when you're looking at what issues am I having in my body that might be representing my chakra story that's happening in my third chakra, right? The consciousness that's been collecting there and the wounds that might be getting triggered right now. We're looking at digestive system. You're looking at, pancreas and adrenals. Again, I mentioned that adrenals are a two-hitter. So you've got the first chakra, fear, obviously. That's the big ruler of the adrenals. And then in this area, I also look at the adrenals as how is that fear getting in the way of your personal power? How is that fear getting in the way of your self-esteem? Believing yourself, knowing yourself, going forward and acting and creating and having discipline and all that stuff. So we've got the digestive system, muscular issues, pancreas, adrenals. Diabetes is something we look at here. Any problems with the pancreas, even if it's, I'm hypoglycemic or I'm hyperglycemic, Digestive issues are big here as well. Gastric, duodenal ulcers, stomachs, intestines, colon, all the things, all part of this area as well, especially colitis, Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel disease. And the digestive stuff, this is the big stuff that people face a lot when you're dealing with third chakra issues. A lot of people, and I raise my hand, but if you're one of those people that, oh my gosh, my problem area is digestive, then you have third chakra healing to do. And that has been my story. And I have a big story in there on that. And so do you if this is your issue. So if you're having issues related to these areas, we're probably looking at some old shame buttons being pressed, because shame is sort of the owner of this, emotionally, the owner that keeps this third chakra captive. So when we are looking at what needs to heal, really doing some shame work is really what, some inner child work, but shame work is really good for being able to help heal and move forward. And this can look different. Also, I didn't mention, as I'm thinking about it, I didn't mention liver problems and gallstones and things like that, the gallbladder and the spleen. And the other thing I didn't mention here is I want you to listen up if you have chronic fatigue as a thing to keep on your radar for the third chakra as well. The third chakra is like our willpower center. So this is where you're like trying to push through life. If you have people pleasing, this is the third chakra issue. Struggle with boundaries and saying no, third chakra issue. Following through on your goals can be challenging when the chakra is blocked. You can feel like you're not enough. You even can find yourself feeling powerless or in a victim state of mind, like a mindset of a victim at times, where you're just like, I feel like everything's happening to me. I can't do this. I can't, all that, those kind of feelings like resentment and things like that. You have likely really tried to willpower your way through life. This third chakra can also be the bully belly. So when it's really excessive, we look at people who kind of bully their way through life. But even if that's not you, it's just you tend to really willpower your way through life. And that looks like a lot of have-tos and shoulds. And it really exhausts this chakra. And it's the block that can leave us feeling so sluggish and frequently seeking like stimulants. So I need caffeine, I need sugar, I need coffee, I need alcohol. And the opposites can be true. Depending on the type of block you have, it can actually lead you to feeling more controlling and demanding. So keep all that in mind as you're looking at where are my big hot spots and what do I need to focus on when it comes to my physical health. So now we have chakra 4, or the heart chakra. And this is just self-love and compassion, our ability to forgive ourselves and our ability to forgive others, which is huge. It's a huge part of our spiritual growth here. So in the physical body, the 4th chakra being the balancing chakra of all, this chakra is going to cover all disorders of the heart. It covers the thymus gland. It helps us kind of seek out whether we have lung issues, pneumonia, bronchitis, asthma. It's breast issues, if you've got breast cancer or other stuff that's showing up in the breast. And shoulders, arms as well are covered. Shoulders, arms, and hands are the 4th chakra. And circulation. And circulation is one of those 2 hitters. So the 1st chakra manages circulation as well as the 4th chakra. They work together. So immune system stuff coming up is also something that is a double whammy too. So you've got your immune system being covered here as well. So the 1st and the 4th kind of work together on a couple of these things. But understanding that unresolved grief is the big emotional hitter here. So when we look at issues in this area, we're always looking at unresolved grief. And we also look at any type of self-hate, any type of rejection of the self, and how chronic that is and how much that's happening. When I look at people who have disorders of this area, the 4th chakra, I'm certainly looking for your inner critic. I'm certainly looking for the degree of which you might be rejecting yourself, and most definitely always looking for unresolved grief. And that grief, by the way, is defined individually. So that can be grief just from your own self hatred, your own self-disregard. And so grief can be felt and experienced for a number of different reasons. Now, if you're having issues with the fourth chakra and one of these areas of the body that you're experiencing, it can be about also like your right to be loved and it be in relationships and how much rejection you've experienced in your life or you perceive rejection, what that has done for you energetically, and intimacy and forgiveness and all of that good stuff. So do you have a harsh inner critic? We're going to check in. And you're looking at your fourth chakra issue. If you've got issues in any of these areas, are you staying in a relationship that's unhealthy for you? Do you close yourself off from intimacy? To say I love you to yourself feels so foreign and weird, you just can't do it. It feels awkward. That is a huge thing for you to notice. Some of us are like, oh no, I love it. I say it all day. But some of us are like, Michelle, that just feels so weird, right? And that's fine. Good information. That's wonderful. Because now we know you reject yourself. You can't be there for yourself like that. You can't hold love for yourself. And that's where your healing needs to happen. And watch how that affects the issues that you're having physically. Last, do you have autoimmune issues? I did want to mention that autoimmune issues are a lot of times seen as the rejection of the self. It literally is the body attacking itself. And so we look at that sort of as a way to see, again, we go into that criticism, rejection, all this stuff, but how the body is sort of rejecting itself. Okay, now we're moving into the fifth chakra, and it is all about self-expression. This chakra resides in the throat, and it is related to communication and speaking our truth from the heart. It is our creative center for expression in the world, where language and the choices we make with our words create our reality. It's powerful. How much are you seen? How much are you heard? How much space do you take up? It is also connected to our ears and therefore encompasses both speaking and listening. Our places in our bodies where we can see problems show up for this are our arms and hands again. So we got a double here. The heart is managing some of this. And then we've got a little bit of the energy of the fifth chakra helping out. And we also have the thyroid and parathyroid glands. We've got the neck and ears and shoulders. If you have TMJ, like, are you struggling with TMJ? I do. This is like a big one for me, or used to be anyway. So swollen glands and neck issues, thyroid, cancer. If you've got the Hashimoto's, Graves' disease, chronic sinus issues, disorders of the throat, mouth, and teeth, by the way, also are the fifth chakra. So we're looking to see, do you feel the right to speak and be heard? And are you always like, no, don't worry about me, not my, you hold back your opinions. You're always trying to please others. Like, that comes into play here too. And our beliefs around self-expression and communication, right? Understanding what it's like for you to speak the truth, to speak your truth, and to receive it, to listen to it, to hear it. Are you able to express yourself clearly and directly? And so I bring this up because there's a lot of people who you take a long way around the bush to get through what you want to say. And if you're you know, right? So you are passive, you're indirect, you use words, maybe more words than are necessary, right? You are avoidant. And so you're trying to be very cautious and careful when you speak. That is a fifth chakra issue. Do you feel like people never hear you? You're like, I talk, and I swear to God, people just don't hear me. That is a fifth chakra issue. Do you need to fill space with talking? And this is sort of the opposite ways that the chakra can express itself differently. So do you need to fill up space in talking and be less likely to listen intently? And maybe you interrupt frequently. This is another fifth chakra issue. Do you have poor auditory comprehension? Do you not learn easily from an auditory perspective, from listening? And what did you learn from your parents, speaking the truth? And these are all important things to pay attention to. And so the next chakra, the second to last chakra we're going to talk about today is chakra 6. This is your third eye. It's a very popular chakra, and it's the mind. And it's tricky. It wants to be in charge. It wants to problem solve. It wants to be analytical. This chakra can also be known as the psychic chakra because it's known as that sixth sense. However, it's also organizing all the information that we receive from all of the other chakras. And it's organizing information of what's in front of us, what's happening in our life, right? When we have a sixth chakra that's open and healthy, then we can really see what's in front of us, the truth of it. We can have a lot of wisdom around it. But when it's not doing well, our perceptions are off, our ability to sort of be in our wise self is harder because we're so reactive to what's in front of us, the things that are happening in our lives. We don't have that wisdom. And people are who have these sort of blocks and are really sort of up in their heads all the time and thinking all the time and, maybe obsessively thinking. But when all that energy is going around up in the sixth chakra, then it becomes imbalanced and it becomes a problem. And so when you're thinking about how this is affecting you physically, we're talking about the pituitary gland, the hypothalamus. We're looking at how the autonomic nervous system gets brought into this, the hypothalamus being a part of that. And then the autonomic nervous system is signaling to all the other areas of your body, how you're doing, if you're safe. So we've got the eyes, when you have issues like cataracts, any issues with the eyes, brain, processing memory issues, brain cancer, any issues with the brain. The pineal gland, obviously, is also known for psychic senses. And if you Google the pineal gland and the magic behind it, it's actually quite fascinating. But staying on track here, you get a lot of headaches. If you deal with migraines, vision problems, learning difficulties, this is your chakra. And this is a chakra for you to focus on. And it really is about our right to create and our own perception, believe and trust in our own perception and how we see the world, how it can be impacted by our self-evaluation. But this is the area where we are open to insight. We are open to intuition. We have accessibility to all the good stuff that, like our wisdom and our senses. But the untrained mind is difficult, right? The untrained mind just is our monkey brain and it gets in the way. And so our monkey brain can certainly lead to this chakra having some issues. And if you have a lot of anxiety and so you overthink and you spend all your time up in your head, you're just one of those people that's going to have some of these issues or in those areas of your physical body. So do you find yourself living on autopilot often? Do you find you're more in your brain than in the present moment? It's hard for you to be present. You're just always up in your head. Right? And do you find that you can obsess about things? And how do you manage this? Is it hard? Are you able to detach from the obsessive thinking? Do you remember your dreams and things like that? Overthinking is really getting in the way of your being present and open and allowing your spiritual gifts to come through. Some of the things you might struggle with might be lack of imagination. Like I feel like I can't visualize either. Like some people who have this area down, they're like, we have a really hard time doing meditations that are visualizations because they can't visualize. They struggle with difficulty concentrating or feeling like a scatterbrain. Like I always joke when I teach about chakras that this is the chakra where I forgot my keys in the fridge by mistake. Did you lose your keys and did they show up in the fridge? That's a true story for me. So mindlessness, exhaustive thinking, all those things are really important. Being cut off from your intuition, all those things are really important for that sixth chakra. So those are some of the things you're looking for. And now the seventh chakra, when you're looking at how your body's operating here, this is the crown chakra. This is where it all funnels into the top of your head. This is your pineal gland, your pituitary gland. This is your central nervous system. This is learning disorders as well, because that actually the 6 and 7 work together on that. So when doing healings on people with attention deficit disorder, dyslexia, any type of learning disorders, I'm looking at working with the brain and working with the energy around the 7th and 6th chakra together. We've got migraines and mental health. So this is the chakra where we look at mental health in terms of some of the fine line between disorders such as schizophrenia, dissociative identity disorder, bipolar disorder. But in particular, this is where it gets a little bit of a fine line for people who experience like an opening of their crown chakra. And people think that they are experiencing a schizophrenic break or something else is happening because they are experiencing what seem like delusions and things like that. And reality is there is a very fine line for some of these folks who sadly start to experience things that have them living in two different worlds or anything like that. We do look at that seventh chakra for healing. But we also look at the seventh chakra for Alzheimer's and dementia as well. So this is all about your divine connection. That's it. This is really all about your divine connection. And how is it impacted by your beliefs about spirituality, about the universe, about God, about whatever your beliefs are or not having any beliefs, right? How open are you to the wisdom, the faith, infinite possibilities? Can you see or imagine seeing yourself as a limitless being? Do you have a difficulty believing beyond something you can't see, touch, and feel? Now, this is not likely many of you because you probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast, but it is something for you to pay attention to, just to notice for other people in your life and relationships that you're in. But certainly, do you over-intellectualize things? And do you see how this impacts your connection to your spiritual self? That is a true rigor. I mean, so many people show up, they want to go down the spiritual journey. They're every other chakra is sending them here. And they're like, I want to learn how to, do Reiki, or I want to grow and expand as an energetic being. I want to learn about this. And yet they can't get out of their own way because, and this was me to begin with, honestly, because, I just over-intellectualized everything because I lived up in my head. And then realizing how to shift that was so huge in my ability to really drop into more of my purpose here. So the opposite of that even is over-spiritualizing everything. And you may have that person in your life. There's no responsibility. This is kind of the hook here, is there's no responsibility taken for things. It's kind of like God's plan, or, they do something really crappy. And then they're like, oh, well, the angels made me do it. That is something, people use sometimes your spiritual reasoning for the wrong reasoning, right? And so if you're over spiritualizing everything, it's sort of the opposite to being a cynic, right? So you're over spiritualizing everything and you're potentially looking out to make sure that, are you taking full responsibility? Because that is at the heart of any spiritual path. There is no spiritual path without responsibility. So that is the 7 major chakras. Those are all the areas of the body that you're going to be paying attention to. You're looking to see, what are my hot spots? Where are my chronic issues? Where do I need to put my focus on? And then look at the story. What is your story in that area? What are the things that happened in the past that created beliefs and emotions and consciousness? And part of your consciousness is this story that gets triggered when stuff is happening again in your life. And therefore, that's where you need to heal. And that can help you heal physically as you work through the emotional and energetic components, things. Well, thank you so much for hanging in there. This was kind of a long one, but I really am such a believer in looking at our issues, our pain, our problems from this beautiful perspective of healing. And not that I don't believe in a medical model. I'm so grateful for our medical model. It's so fascinating and important. But understanding this can really help you navigate it a little differently, where you can feel empowered and you can align with your spiritual self and you can get on board with, really healing things on a deeper level. And it's kind of amazing when you get the feedback that it's working. It's pretty cool. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful week and I will talk to you next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Into the Work Therapy for Empaths and Seekers. Don't forget to grab your free gift, your Shadow Work Transformation Bundle at michellepoverman.com. I've included everything you need to get started to break through the patterns of self-sabotage and finally start to heal the parts of yourself that are getting in the way of truly reaching your potential. From a powerful meditation designed to help you meet and embrace your shadow self, to the guide that's full of curated prompts and important questions to support you on this journey. This really can be the work for you to unmask the root cause of all the issues you've been experiencing, honestly, and start to feel free to believe in yourself and go for what you want. The link for this free bundle is in the show notes. And if you like this episode, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment and rate, click and follow, and leave a review. Of course, you can always follow me on socials at Michelle Poverman. And keep in mind, as you embark on your journey from spark to brilliance, remember, the universe is always conspiring in favor of your awakening. Everything that's happening is in support of you lighting your own fire within. So until we meet again, may your path be well lit and your heart be guided. Shine bright, seekers. Until next time.